What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ask a CISSP podcast. This is a supplemental podcast to the other side of the firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and today my special guest is Skylar Hunter. How are you doing, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, man, I can't complain. Excellent to have you on the show. This is the first Ask a CISSP podcast of the year. I know it's already July, about to be August. Don't judge me. The point of this show is to either bring people in who are trying to break into cybersecurity and kind of like pick their brains, then pick my brains. But in this case, what I'm trying to do is have people who are already doing jobs or have hobbies or they're more journeyman or novice than I can't think of a better term, but like rookies or people who try to initially get in. So I'm fielded a lot of questions that deal with hacking and script kiddies and pen testing, and I can't really answer those. So I do the best I can. I do my research, but that's really not my lane. So when I found out that you had the hobby in being a script kiddie, and then you're working towards pen testing and things of that nature, I was like, I gotta have him on the show. So I greatly appreciate that. If you give us a little bit of background about you and what you do.
Yeah, of course. So been in the Air Force for going on 16 years in September. My original job that I came in for is client systems. So not necessarily cybersecurity related, I guess in a way it is, but I deal with the client side of the network, which I love. So the hacking is kind of more of a hobby right now. Maybe once I retire, I do want to make it more into a career, but it's just something I really enjoy. So I just kind of do it on the side right now. I'm originally from Utah, born and raised. I became interested in IT kind of out of high school, taking some IT classes. Kind of enjoyed it, just wasn't 100% sure if that was the route I wanted to go. But I played a lot of games too in high school, and I played a lot of games with a lot of friends, and they were kind of having issues with, playing their games. Either they weren't getting audio or they just couldn't get the game to work. So I'd help them troubleshoot. And a lot of my friends would tell me, hey, a lot of stuff about IT that other people don't really know. Maybe you should pursue that. I didn't really have a career goal in mind, so kind of decided, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with IT. I seem to pick things up fairly quick, so I'll just go that route. So yeah, that's kind of where I came from for, pursuing that career. And yeah, I mean, so far I've enjoyed it. I can't really see myself doing anything else at the moment.
That's awesome. So the funny story, so we've been working together for probably 5 or 6 months. Didn't know that you had that hobby, and we were introducing ourselves to our new boss. So what? Say something interesting about yourself. What is something you do, a hobby, something unique about you? And you mentioned that you did the hacking, pen testing, script kiddie stuff as a hobby, and then I mentioned I was a podcaster. So I was like, okay. After this meeting, I immediately asked you hey, you want to be on the show? You want to talk about it? What is a script kiddie, right? So it's just kind of worked itself out, which is awesome. Maybe I should have said I was a podcaster sooner, but I tend to not talk about that at work, right? But so that is the main question. So what is a script kiddie?
Yeah, so a script kiddie is essentially someone who uses pre-built programs to kind of pursue their hacking endeavors. They're kind of less skilled typically. Maybe they're just beginning out into hacking. It's kind of used maybe as a derogatory term in the hacking community as well, just because, there's a lot of skilled hackers out there, a lot of script kiddies. They try to break into that part of IT to do cybersecurity. And they ask for maybe recommendations or input from kind of the more elite hackers. The elite hackers they usually kind of push them away, yeah, don't bother me. That's kind of beneath me. This is script kiddie stuff. Go figure stuff out on your own. So yeah, script kiddies are typically a little less skilled. They have a kind of a basic understanding of IT and all that goes into it. I have a decent understanding of IT, of course, because I've been doing it for so long. I'm still kind of at the script kiddie level just because I don't make my own tools. I haven't really grown beyond that yet, but I'm learning. So that's kind of where you start out. Some hackers, if they know how to program or script, they kind of jump that step of becoming a hacker, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, script kiddies are hackers too. They're just at the beginning stage. So.
No, that's a great definition. You brought up two things I'm asked about a lot. So when it comes to that jump that you're speaking about, I get asked a lot about, do I need to learn a programming language, or do I need to kind of like where are the basics at? Like, do I need to learn C++, Python? Like what language do I need to learn, and then what tools do I need to start playing with to kind of get to where you're at?
Sure. So yeah, all that definitely helps. Python seems to be the kind of growing scripting programming language. It's pretty flexible. It's powerful. I've kind of messed with it a little bit, but I'm still, like I said, in the script kiddie phase. So that definitely helps me personally. I know PowerShell a decent amount, and that kind of helps me understand other languages as well. They do kind of go, I guess, back and forth as far as like understanding the concept of programming and scripting, but you don't necessarily need to have that skill set yet, just starting out. Like I said, with the script kiddie, you have the tools pre-built. You can at least get the concept of how things work.
Right. And what would be a good first start for someone, like a hack the box, or like, is there like a particular website, or should they just dig right into some material and start to watch videos and read up on it?
Sure. So there's actually a lot of sites out there now that's kind of popping up, and they seem pretty tailored to beginners and also advanced hackers. I did Hack the Box for a while, which is really popular. It's really good to get into. There's really no like tutorials necessarily. There are tutorials that people make, and you have to kind of follow those to to hack the box essentially.
Right.
Those are nice, but it's only kind of geared towards a certain theme for that box. It doesn't teach you other stuff like forensics and that kind of stuff. So another site, since I'm kind of a beginner still, another site that I've been using more often is Try Hack Me.
Okay.
And I've seen that website a while back in the past, and it seemed decent, but it didn't really seem like it was really all that user friendly. There wasn't too much to it. There weren't too many activities to use. But nowadays, there's actually a lot of stuff out there now. So I was actually just looking at forensic stuff. There's obviously, hacking stuff for like for web vulnerabilities, general exploitation of boxes. So, and it's really nice. So Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, and I'm sure some other websites that have VMs you can just spin up in real time. It doesn't take too long, and you can start kind of hacking away, doing your script kiddie skills and using all the pre-built tools that come along with that.
Gotcha. No, that's definitely a good recommendation. So I've seen it pop up a lot. Like, you see people have their streaks going, they try to compete with one another. Have you looked at any of the capture the flag or any of those type of events?
So I have. I'm pretty interested in that, but I feel like I could probably do it. But I like going in knowing that I'm going to succeed. I don't like to fail.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, I do a lot of kind of independent stuff on my own. I do capture the flag stuff just with me, I guess. And I'm fairly successful with the easy boxes because they have different levels. You have the easy, medium, and hard, and extra hard, and that kind of stuff. So I'm still kind of with the easy stuff, but I've kind of moved past the step by step. Like, this is how you capture the flag, to like go out and do it on your own based off of what you learned. So now I'm kind of like, I'm not relying on the material so much to guide me. I'm kind of doing it off of my skill set and my knowledge that I gained throughout
Gotcha.
all the tutorials that I've done in the past.
And about how long do you think it took you to get to that level? Doing it, like you said, part-time, like on your own time's a hobby.
Yeah, so I guess my knowledge really took off when I joined Try Hack Me. Not to necessarily promote just them, because there are other sites out there that are also very good. But me personally, when I joined Try Hack Me and they have all the exercises in there, that's where my knowledge kind of really took off. That's where I was kind of becoming more independent on, trying to do things on my own versus just trying to follow a tutorial to do something. So yeah.
Gotcha. So in your personal opinion, because I see a lot of people crossing into IT and cyber that were doing something totally different, right? They could have been in the medical field or just a ton of different trades. Do you think the IT aspect of it is kind of the glue? Like, do you think they need to start to research and like perhaps pursue like maybe an A+ or something to give them like a baseline of information technology before they pivot into trying to, be a red team or something of that nature?
Definitely. You need that foundation to kind of understand why things happen the way they do, how things are exploited, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you should know basic protocols. You should know, ports. That's just all basic stuff, and that's just a very
Right.
beginner, low level stuff. And that stuff you should definitely know. You don't necessarily have to be certified in it, but yes, you do definitely have to build that foundation to kind of move on to the hacking side of stuff.
Gotcha. And that's good to hear it coming from you, right? Someone who's already on the journey and already making those leaps to get into. Ultimately, do you think it's going to be pen testing? Do you want to go into forensics? Like, what lanes do you see yourself going to?
I've kind of gone back and forth on that. I do like forensics. I do like the defense side of trying to thwart hackers as well. But I guess as of maybe a year and a half ago, doing the Try Hack Me stuff, I do love the offensive stuff too. So I guess that's good because I enjoy it all. But right now, I do love the offensive stuff. So the red teaming, I think, would be awesome.
Okay, that's awesome. So I'm a boring guy, right? Like, so when I see it, because people ask me like, oh, you want to go into pen testing, be a red teamer? Not really. Like, I'm more of a defense type guy. Like I joke about it all the time. Like I like the really boring stuff, right? Like the red side of the house is very sexy. Like people are like, oh, I want to do that. Even when I play video games, it's like, nah, I want to be support. Like I'll be the healer for the team. Like that'd be fun. I don't
Yeah, I
necessarily
mean,
want to be a
somebody's got
tank,
to,
right?
yeah, somebody's got to do it, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it. But no, that's
Yeah.
awesome that you like all sides of it. So I see a lot of people starting to say that they're purple, like they do both the red and the blue stuff, and I see that as being very versatile. So perhaps that will be your route. But what character traits do you think it takes to kind of stick with it? So again, this is a hobby for you, right? Like you're not getting paid to do this. This is an interest that you're passionate about. What character traits do you believe you possess that make you able to get through those challenges? Like when you finally hit, you know, an obstacle, and then you have to learn something new to get over it.
So I'm pretty persistent when it comes to things. So if I set my mind to something, I like to stick to it as much as possible. So I kind of set a routine, kind of like, if I'm doing school or anything else that, benefits me. I set a routine. I like to try to set aside maybe half hour, an hour a night to go in and, do something. It doesn't necessarily have to do like capture the flag stuff. I can just research something. So I try to stay on top of that because technology is changing all the time. So yeah, I feel like I'm persistent with that kind of stuff, and I'm also, I like to set routines to try to,
Gotcha.
I guess, keep building that kind of stuff.
Right. And yeah, definitely setting the time to do it. So that's, like you said, you're I don't want to say stubborn. You're very, like you said, persistent, right? Like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make sure it gets done. I lean on the case of stubborn. Like that's my personality. Like I have to get through it. Like
Right. And
cannot
like you
stop.
said, it's something that interests me too. So I mean,
Right.
it's not necessarily work. So I mean, you're doing college classes and stuff. Sometimes it's kind of boring. You just got to get through it. But for me, something like this, going in and kind of testing my skills and learning more, it interests me. I have kind of a mindset of enjoying puzzles. So I like to
Okay.
go in and try to figure things out.
So that is a great analogy. But because those two definitely go hand in hand, like you get to assess the target or what have you, and then pick it apart, try to figure out how it works, and then how you can uh, the quote unquote defeat uh, the the capture the flag, or you can hack the box, things of that nature. So with that being said, what because it sounds like it can become pretty expensive once you start to get into the building your own rig and um, designing your own tools. So both time and money expensive. What are some good first starts? Like where should people go first for the free materials, the free tools?
I mean, there's tons of stuff on Google. You can just really Google anything. There's a lot of free resources out there nowadays. It seems like back in the day, um, when hacking was still kind of taboo, and nobody really wanted to share their thoughts or even their tools or their techniques. But nowadays, they're putting a lot of stuff out there, especially on Google and YouTube. I use
Gotcha.
YouTube a lot, so if I get stuck somewhere, maybe on like a capture the flag box or something, and somebody else has already completed it, I'm stuck somewhere. I just can't get past it. I'm a visual person too, so just watching them work
Mhm.
through it is a great help. And that's YouTube's a free resource. They put a lot of stuff out there. Google, I mean, there's tons of stuff on Google. They have write-ups on techniques and different tools you can use to accomplish something. So there's definitely a lot of free resources out there. I mean, there's a lot of paid for resources out there too. So I pay for a couple things to help me train and keep on top of it. But sometimes you don't necessarily need that because I mean, there's stuff out there. Sometimes it's just scattered around. The stuff that I pay for is more centralized and it's more up to date. So I don't have to
Gotcha.
spend so much time searching. I can spend time actually doing stuff instead of trying to look for things.
Okay, that's great advice. What about your setup? Like, what kind of uh, rig do you currently have set up to accomplish your training and your personal stuff?
Sure. So, I mean, I guess rig-wise, hardware-wise, I mean, I have a gaming laptop, but you don't really need a gaming laptop unless you're going to do like a lot of password cracking or CPU intensive, um, processing. So typically, anything with like modern RAM and a good solid state hard drive. Really recommend solid state because that's like the way to go nowadays.
Right.
Um, but I virtualize Kali Linux, and there's other operating systems out there too, like Parrot. Parrot's pretty popular now. But I use Kali Linux. It already has all the necessary tools typically that you need. Sometimes you might want to get a couple different tools that aren't included, but those are easy to get. But yeah, so Kali Linux, I virtualize it. You can use kind of just a general laptop to do things. It's really not too intensive, and that's what I use.
Okay. So we talked about persistence and consistency that helped you to get to the level that you're currently at. What were your biggest challenges? Like, what were your biggest roadblocks?
So even though I'm consistent, I kind of feel like I understand IT pretty well. So when it comes to hacking, I mean, there's so much to hacking, and there's so many different ways you can go with hacking. There's so many different ways you can get into a box. I kind of get frustrated that it takes so long. So my downfall
Okay.
would be, just my impatience of just trying to do it. And sometimes when I'm crunched for time, I guess I cheat and I look through other write-ups to see, what the problem was, where I got hung up. And I don't allow myself enough time to thoroughly, I guess, analyze the box or to complete a challenge. Like others do. Some people will take, days or even weeks on a box just to, really test their skills. For me, if I can't pass like a certain task within like 15, 20 minutes, then I'm like, okay, I'm stuck. Where am I at?
Right.
So that's kind of my limb fact, I guess, is my impatience. And I know patience is definitely necessary with something like this, but sometimes I'm just like, I just want to get it over with. I need to pass this because I'm like,
Right.
I'm tired of wondering what this is.
No, that makes sense. So that makes me think of like the miter kill chain and things of that nature when it comes to reconnaissance. And then once
Hmm.
you're a few levels deeper, I can definitely see that. But I mean, that means that there's some good defense out there. So that's good that they frustrated you. So when it comes to influence, are there any people who are the most influential for you in this particular field? Like, there a certain hacker out there, or
Um, so I'll probably say Kevin Mitnick. He's kind of one of the most well-known kind of earlier hackers. He's kind of known for
okay,
phone phreaking. He has like a whole background to him. So I would say he's probably one of my biggest influences. He wrote a book. He has a lot of books now, but he wrote a book called The Art of Intrusion, and it's basically hacking stories. So kind of in
okay,
my earlier days when I was really interested in that, I bought the book and started reading it. And once I started reading it, like I don't read books very often, but this book I just couldn't put down. Like I was so interested in all the stories that people were doing, and
okay,
some kind of illegal, I guess, and others,
right,
just kind of doing their thing, not so legal. But yeah, so that kind of like I guess launched my curiosity into the hacking side of IT versus just the support side of IT.
got you. Were there any childhood movies or anything like that that may have also uh, pushed you towards it?
Yeah, so I would say Password Swordfish was probably one of my other big influences. It was pretty awesome. It really kind of I guess spoke to me like what you can do with knowledge, I guess. I mean, in that
Right,
case, everything was like in that movie, everything was obviously illegal, trying to rob banks and stuff. Um, but how everything was so connected to IT, um, just kind of, you imagine the possibilities of where we're going to go and how vulnerable things are now.
right.
And so yeah, that's what kind of launched me to that as well. Another goodie but oldie is war games. I mean, everybody references
I
war
was gonna
games.
say, yeah, war games. Yeah,
Um, yep, that's a definitely awesome movie. Actually, probably watch it again soon because yeah, it's been a while. But that's another movie that definitely influenced me.
got you. I remember there was some terrible now, but when you were a kid, you had Weird Science. That was one where they brought her life because they hacked the. I forget who they hacked. I got to watch that one again. And then there was Hackers, right? Wasn't that one? Angelina
Mhm. Yep,
Jolie. And
yep.
you look back at it now, you're like, man, this movie is terrible. Like none of this stuff is realistic. Like,
Yep.
that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
pretty
and
cool.
another one I almost forgot. I came almost forgot this one, but Mr. Robot.
Oh yeah, Mr.
Mr.
Robot. Yep.
Mr. Robot's super popular in the hacking community and the cybersecurity community. So yeah, Mr. Robot, like binged that as much as I could. I love that whole TV
Okay.
series.
And how realistic do you believe it is to
Yeah,
the
so I
actual
did
like
some research
trade,
on it
right?
as well. Yeah, sure. So I did
Okay.
some research on it because I was thinking to myself, like, how realistic are their techniques and their tools they're using and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And they're pretty realistic. They actually hired some kind of well-known high-level security consultants and hackers to kind of help them direct the movie and
Okay.
try to make it as realistic as possible. So I remember specifically one of the episodes where they drop USB drives in like the police station parking lot.
Right.
Try to break one of their guys out. But yeah, the police officer he picked it up in the parking lot, walked in, plugged it into the computer.
Yep.
They started delivering all the malware and everything. Um, but yeah, I mean that's super realistic. That happens. People, uneducated people would find even
Right.
CDs or whatever media, and then they just want to see what's on it. They plug it in. Next thing you know, they're infected with something.
Right. That drives me insane, especially from the compliance and regulation side. It's like, why are you doing that? And
Right.
they just I think we just had an episode where we talked about it. Like there was a blue team that did it to their company just to see like is the training working, right? Is the information assurance or the cyber awareness challenges, like are people really paying attention? And they dropped USB drives in the parking lot. And sure enough, their staff was plugging them into the company computers. Like, I wonder what's on here. Ah,
Hmm.
it breaks my heart.
Yep.
But very realistic. So how about because I know somebody's going to ask me this question. I'm like, oh man, I really wish I'd asked that question while I was on here. So person brand new, wanting to get started. So we've kind of gone over what they should be looking at or should be trying to do and the characteristics that it takes to get to your level. What would you tell them to skip or to not waste their time with? Was there anything where you just like, well, I didn't really get anything out of this. I could have done something different.
I mean, not really. Not that I can think of. Everything that I've learned before kind of joining the hacking side of IT or the cybersecurity side of IT as well, it's all benefited me in some way. I don't think I've really ran into anything that was unnecessary.
Okay.
Yeah, I just can't really think of anything.
That's really good because you hear a lot of people are like, oh, you should get this certification, like this will get you set up, and then you talk to people and they're like, it didn't teach me anything. Like I think we've discussed a couple. I would like to not mention on the show, not get backlash, but there's a few of them out there that they teach you, right? Like they do teach you something. It piques your interest and makes you do your own research. But then when you take a certification test and it's garbage, right? It's just like, this has nothing to do with anything. Like I'm just memorizing tools. I'm just memorizing very obscure things that I will never run across. It's like when kids are taught certain levels of math and they're just like, I'm never going to use this. And then you may never use it. Or one day you may need to figure out, how long this fence needs to be for your backyard. It might come up. But no, that's good. That's good that you don't feel like anything has been a waste of your time. So to wrap it up, I always ask pretty much the same question. So let's reverse roles, right? Like, so you're the interviewer. What have I not asked you? What would you like to share, or what would you like to discuss, particularly about your field, that I didn't ask you a question about?
I think a good question would be something like, why would you want to become a hacker in the first place?
Okay,
the biggest thing is like, I mean, for me right now, it's just more of a hobby thing. It also contributes to my job. Why we do things, why we patch computers, why we segment the network, why we have access control lists, all that kind of stuff. You hear about it in your job, my job. That's got to be out there. Like, why do we do this? It's like, okay, so we'll just do this and move on to the next thing. And, try to, not have to worry about it for a while, and you put it off in the back of your mind.
Right.
But when you're actually like learning this stuff and especially doing it, then you're like, okay, we have a firewall for this. This is why we do this, and this is what the firewall does, and this is what patches do. So yeah, I mean, why would you want to be a hacker in the first place? And I mean, it greatly contributes to your job. Really, any aspect of IT, in my mind, it helps you have a broader understanding of why you do things a certain way, and it kind of makes you understand why you follow industry standards to a certain way. So yeah, that's where I come from for that question is, some people might ask, like, you don't want to become a hacker because you're going to go into jail and all this other stuff. You're going to get in trouble. It's like, no, there's more to hacking than just, hacking the domains and stuff. You're actually defending stuff. You're understanding why, we're doing this essentially. So.
No, that's awesome. That's a very good question. Perhaps you should start a podcast. This is putting it out there. Might be your thing, or a tutorial series or something like that. But that's awesome. I greatly thank you for your time and being on the show. I'm sure I'll still get more questions, but I'll make sure I direct them to you, and then we'll be able to get people the answers that they're actually seeking. Because again, that's not my lane. I'm not a red teamer by any stretch of the imagination. But now I know one. And then if you have questions out there, feel free to hit up the podcast, or where can they find you if they're trying to reach out to you?
So really my social media footprint isn't really out there, really just Facebook.
Gotcha. Spoken like a true cybersecurity person. Like I was able to Google myself not too long ago, and I was like, ooh, I don't like that. at all.
Yep. I got nothing on Google.
Because I do not like that. But that's awesome. But yeah, if they cannot find Skylar Hunter, they can definitely hit up the podcast. You can hit us up at any of our social medias. They all go by our name. You can reach out to me personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn, specifically LinkedIn, where I'm able to field your questions on a regular basis. And then obviously tune into the other podcast, right? The Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where Shannon and Levon are my co-hosts on a weekly basis. Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesdays we do a discussion. This will be the Thursday episode of Ask a CISSP. And then Fridays we talk about everything else. So movie, TV, books, all that stuff, all the non-cyber stuff. So thank you again, Skylar, for being on the show. And for all those out there listening, thank you for continuing to listen to us, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay safe, stay secure.